just to start off, I commend her strength and her um, the mental work it must have taken to get to the point where she can actually talk about this. Because if it's sad, like I think the numbers are roughly 1 in 2 or 1 in 3 women will be assaulted in their lifetime, will be mistreated in some way in their lifetime by.
They had a book. I don't know who wrote it. The Delectable Negro. That showed that. And then I don't know who wrote it. I'll check in 1 second. But they showed what they was doing to Africans of American descent, babies. Remember they talked about feeding them to the alligators. Uh, Jingle Bells, the original.
I weep for the dead, but death is a merciful option in a place like that. No, that does not mean that I am not grateful for my survival, but grateful is a hard word to use in the circumstance. How does one feel gratitude when they have witnessed such carnage? Because we're not just talking about death, we're talking about the worst possible ways to die. Children being boiled alive in shit and piss that predators paid to donate into iron tubes. We're talking about children cut apart, fed to other children for people's sexual gratification. And most don't want to look at it, and I do not blame you. I do not blame the survivors of this abuse who stay dissociated, who remain used and enslaved because they cannot look either, because they cannot come to terms with their experiences. And I do not blame the general public who will not look. But this is reality. And all I ask of those who watch this is that you remember that while it may be excruciatingly painful for you to look at this reality, to think about this being possible, there are children. I ask you to remember and acknowledge that there are children who are surviving it every day. There are children enduring this, dying in this, and surviving this who have to carry that pain all alone. And if they can do that, maybe you can muster the strength, if you have it, to look, to think about it just enough to get involved in some way to stop the madness. And no, I do not expect you to find this place, to find these underground trafficking rings, bust down the doors, and rescue these kids. I doubt if that will ever happen before World War III comes or some epidemic and wipes us all out, while the people who perpetrate this remain alive in their underground worlds, and so on and so forth. Don't even want to go into the whole NWO thing right now. No, I don't expect that from you. I don't expect you to stop this in that way. But there are people fighting human trafficking. There are people who need voices. And at the very least, I encourage you to extend your support in some way to those who have survived, even if you cannot help those who are lost. I don't know how to help those who are lost. But there are people like me, and no, I'm not asking for myself, but for everyone. There are people like me who have survived these things who need help. They need therapists, we need doctors, we need lawyers, we need support, we need friends. We need new family because most of us have lost ours. And if you can be that for somebody, you can help the collective damage created by these rings. And hopefully one day that collective spirit will be strong enough to take this stuff out at its source, to go down into the trenches and actually rescue the majority of the children in child trafficking who never make it out. Thank you.
there you have it. One of many videos that I've scrolled across since I've laid eyes on the Epstein files being revealed. This one, all of them are, but I take these particularly serious just off of the fact that I don't even know where this woman is right now. I don't know if she's alive. I don't know if she's still making content. But for somebody to go out of their way to make this public and to speak on it, whether or not you believe it's real or not, that takes a lot of courage to do that. Initial thoughts, anybody?
First of all, I want to say, well, one, I looked into it and it does, I believe that it is a legitimate story. It's being promoted on, I just closed the website. Why did I close that? 50 Voices, which advocates for children of who've been subjected to horrific things by adults in particular. And just to start off, I commend her strength and her the mental work it must have taken to get to the point where she can actually talk about this, because if it's sad, like I think the numbers are roughly 1 in 2 or 1 in 3 women will be assaulted in their lifetime, will be mistreated in some way in their lifetime by somebody that they know, or possibly a stranger, even though that's less common. And I think 1 in 6 boys will experience the same thing, even though I've always believed that statistic is probably wrong because men are less likely to come forward about it. That being said, if you have not been through it, it can be very hard to understand just how deeply stuff like that can impact you. Just a single incident can affect you for the rest of your life and will sit with you and cause trauma that you may never fully recover from. Some people are lucky and they don't have serious things happen to them, if you can even consider that lucky. But regardless, whatever your exposure was to that form of violence, it will sit with you for the rest of your life. And to have to go through that for 17 years, as she described, I can't even imagine. She has incredible strength, incredible power, and I commend her for that. Again, the work it must have taken to get yourself to a point where you can actually be comfortable about voicing the horrors that you had to experience as a literal child. And with everything going on, 100% believe that it's not the only person experiencing this past. I fully believe that this is a widespread thing. We're already seeing other countries starting to investigate. Even our war efforts are being controlled in a way by this. I recently found out that one of the countries that we are getting in spouts with right now has told our president that they're going to release the evidence they have if he attacks them, which I find amusing in a very small, dark way. But yeah, this is a big problem, and it's something that has been going on for a long time. It's just been a lot easier to cover up with now that we have all the social media and technology stuff everywhere. It's easier for the stuff to come to light, but it needs to come to light. Treating children like this is beyond incomprehensible. And some of the stuff that she was describing go way beyond what I even would have expected from a situation like that. So for anyone going through what she has gone through, is going through, hopefully we can prevent it before more kids have to go through that. But power and strength to them and their recoveries and their abilities to get away from these horrific, disgusting people.
I'm not surprised. They had a book. I don't know who wrote it. The Delectable Negro. That shows that. And then I don't know who wrote it. I'll check in 1 second. But they showed what they was doing to Africans of American descent, babies. Remember they talked about feeding them to the alligators. Jingle bells, the original reason they said for jingle bells is because they would put the bells around the slaves' necks so they couldn't run. The hush puppies that we love so much with our catfish, fish and chips, whatever, fish and grits. They said that the runaway slaves would run and drop the hush puppies down so that the dogs would find them and get off their scent. So we know what was happening, all of the sadistic stuff that was happening. One thing that is not known too, that we don't probably talk about enough, is how Eastern Europeans treated the people in their own country. They was doing stuff like this to their own people way before. So with this stuff now, just these guys are hiding in plain sight. And two things I think about, we know that people have been buying and selling children since the beginning of time. And then we know that some people will do whatever they can to live forever. They will try their hardest to extend their time looking for the fountain of youth. What I'm happy about now is that stuff is being aired. On the other side, I'm a little upset because I feel like if we had this energy for the people that have been doing this long, because this stuff had been coming out. If we had equal energy for every movement, I think we would be way further right now, because even, thinking about what ICE, had we had followed up with the civil rights movement and things of that matter like we were supposed to, we probably wouldn't have these problems, because like the girl said, this stuff has been happening to people of color and it's been swept under the rug. So the good thing is that now there are means to put this stuff out, because when I watch a movie, I think of movies like this all of the time, and they see them all the time. As much as they are make believe, you got to come up with something in order for somebody. Something had to be done in order for somebody to think on that curve. You can't just make that up. You know what I'm saying? And you would look and say, well, she can't be lying. And I know just for people of color alone, with the Tuskegee project, what they did to Henrietta Lacks. The water was poison in Flint, Michigan. We know what happened to Black Wall Street, which is not the only massacre. And then we know also with the Native Americans, how many massacres they had, and what was done to them was just out of pocket. So this is nothing new. I think what the shock value is that to see a lot of to think that, oh well, they're doing it to each other. You wouldn't think that, because in the media there's certain cultures are portrayed as perfect. That they could not do this stuff, certain religions. And at the end of the day, a lot of times that's the people who are doing this stuff. And also at the end of the day, that stuff makes a lot of money.
it's all boiled down to money, power, greed, and like you said, in eternal life. The fact that these people really believe that sacrificing human beings through fear, taking the blood and bathing in it, gives them clearer skin and gives them longevity that the average person won't get. It's evil. There's no other way to put it. If you never believed in good and evil, I don't know what you call this. Everything on social media, just about, not all of it, but a large majority of it, was designed to distract you. There's another video of a woman, and matter of fact, I should, but I'm not. If I break it down real quick, she's basically playing a clip of someone who is telling you the plans that they had for us all across the board. Then we've spoken about it a million times. Their only objective is to rob, kill, and destroy us. And as much as we are supposed to be equal on this planet, they don't see us that way. We're cattle to them. And it's sickening. It's sad. It's even worse when you are so fearful that you putting this type of information out is going to get you in trouble, as if you're the problem, bothers me even more. Like, ever since I done started going down this rabbit hole, and I said this the other day, I believe it was on Saturday, I went back 20 years or so. I was hardcore with the conspiracy stuff. Everything that I watched up here was Illuminati or Freemasons this. I was really in that stuff, like hardcore in it. But like, I was watching this so much, I couldn't really grasp or comprehend or wrap my mind around the idea that another human being could do the things that women like Katie Groves is describing. I just couldn't. So I said, stop. You fast forward 2026, all this stuff is resurfacing again, and they're showing you receipts. And it's like, oh, yeah, we're here. We are here. And I agree with you, bro. I wish we would have taken this more lightly then, but I don't know if anybody was really going to be able to conceive this. Like, even me, I'm watching it. When you go back to the Twin Towers getting hit and all of these different things about aliens and stuff like that, nobody's really going to believe that stuff. You might be curious, but you're not really going to be locked in and want to know if there's a possibility that there's another energy out here and people are vampires, literally. Now you look at it and you're rethinking stuff. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I do agree. But I think this was their agenda the whole time, honestly.
I think it's crazy funny, not funny in a ha-ha way, but like dark funny, that the entire campaign when Hillary was running, Trump was running his mouth about the cabal and the rich people's like the democratic underground trafficking of children, and going on and on about how they were like taking advantage of kids, and the Illuminati and the rich people who are all involved in this. And lo and behold, it's actually true. And he's the head of the mob of all this stuff. And it's, to me, it's not surprising, but it's still wildly surprising and crazy to me how interconnected this is. It's not just like celebrities, it's not just preachers, it's not just politicians, it's everybody, other countries, businessmen, as I said, celebrities, preachers, like people in politics, people in education, people who have nothing to do with the industry really. They're just kind of like in the background doing stuff. Like, it's so interconnected, and they all know each other, and they all have this like creepy underground trade essentially of humans. It's crazy to live through this and see this happen after hearing, because I was a teenager in an early 20s era when I was hearing about all of these rumors. And at that age, I was just starting to learn how to like suss out whether something's real, learning about conspiracy theories, like all the stuff with aliens and Illuminati and all that stuff. And at the time, it seemed unbelievable. I'm like, no, there's no way the world could be like that. Like, people would know about it. It would be out there. And to find out that it's true, it makes me wonder how many other conspiracy theories people have been going on about for years that we have cut people off and silenced them and like, oh no, you're just crazy, just ignore them. It makes me wonder how many of these people knew what they were talking about. And we were just the ones that couldn't believe reality.
Yeah. Again, I ain't surprised though, because we knew. I had been studying for like 20 years. We knew kids was missing. I remember the milk cartons. All the kids on the milk cartons that you see at school. I remember the afternoon posts. I mean, the afternoon like little TV shows or little commercials that used to come on while you're watching your cartoons when you get home from school. I remember the guy. What's the I think he was in Star Trek. William Shatner. What did he do to? What was that? I forget it. What was that show? Y'all know what show I'm talking about. Was it America's Most Wanted? No. What?
Yeah.
When you trying to find people.
Yeah, that was it.
And then I remember Corey Feldman, the actor, child actor, that was coming out about that stuff happening in the industry, and he went through it for that. And then we knew again with the natives, we even with Nat Turner, the rebellion, the guy who led the slave rebellion in the South. Supposedly they ate him when they caught him. They cooked him and ate him. When you, without going too far, a lot of times in the Bible, you know, they talk about eating flesh and stuff like that, drinking the blood. And I think that the shock now is that it's, I say quote unquote, the heroes, the American heroes, the true. You know what I mean? Like, I even heard one time where this off, but John Wayne, they said John Wayne was a mean person. And you're looking like, what? Man, John Wayne, man, the cat, like, you know what I'm saying? So again, it's just like
bang, 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 bang.
It's the people who are being accused now, where it's like, because you got to think, right? They ain't really have here. Some of them don't have no enemies, right? So they made Superman, they made Batman, take on all these aliens. The X-Men was about the aliens. It was about oppression, right? They had to make it look like, okay, well, we got to fight the aliens, da 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 da, because we're the good guys, da da da. And when you look at it, at the end of the day, they even talked about. I remember what's the dude that wrote the conspiracy book? William. What book was that? He talked about MK Ultra and all of that. I got the book. Behold the Pale Horse. Bill something. And he talked about all of that stuff. And he talked one thing that stuck out when I only read half of the